today's fast-paced and interconnected world, the quest for identity has never been more critical or challenging. Many of us find ourselves caught in a tension between the desire to belong and the yearning to be authentic. We wear masks to fit in, comply, and conform, sacrificing our own dreams, desires, and truth in the process. But at what cost? The life we lead often becomes a reflection of external expectations rather than one we truly desire. This conversation dives into the transformative power of authentic identity, uncovering who we are at our core and exploring how embracing authenticity can lead to profound change in all areas of our lives. Katarina Hanssens Carlsson, a purpose driven global entrepreneurial consultant and speaker, and I are delving into some of the most profound and thought provoking questions about identity. Where does the power come from to unleash our authentic selves? How does embracing our true self impact our relationships, leadership, and sense of fulfillment? In the context of organizational culture, how do we navigate the fine line between fitting in and staying true to ourselves, especially as a leader? Together, we'll challenge the notion that a facade and conformity are the paths to success and explore our authenticity can unlock not only personal greatness, but also organizational transformation. Let's question, reflect, and reimagine what it means to lead a life and a career that is genuinely our own. Yeah, that's what we are talking about here today. And I would like to start off this conversation with the power source of unleashing our authenticity. Where is the power coming from? Katarina, do you want to start?
Yes, absolutely. So we are way more powerful, Brigitte, than we think we are.
Hmm.
And our power comes from within. So, um, based on neuroscience, we have found that our minds are extraordinary if used in the right way. So that's basically our source of power.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would like to add of that, that in general, how do we feel that? And I truly believe that the struggle begins subtle, but it grows over time. It's about, you feel the exhaustion of wearing the mask in the different roles in our life, pretending to be someone you are not. And there's also this sense of the unease. Yeah, and that is rising because you're feeling out of place. That's what I felt, or disconnected
Yes.
with ourselves, but also with other people, or like you're living a life you never truly chose, and you feel like you are stuck,
Yes.
yeah, because of responsibilities, societal expectations, or just the fear of the unknown, of um, what happens if, yeah. And I truly believe that the feelings are often signals of something is fundamentally misaligned. You sense something is missing or wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
So
until the point and the moment where enough is enough, and there needs to be a change, and that is so much stronger than the fear, and the fear of the consequences.
absolutely, Brigitte. I totally agree with you. What we're talking about here is imposter syndrome. We go through school, we're dumbed down in school, according to Dr. George Land, not only in America but globally, is my opinion.
Yeah.
And so we leave school not really knowing who we are, even if we're academically strong, intellectually strong. And not everybody is. I think about maybe 30% of the class at the most. So, what about the 70%? So, what we do is
Mhm.
we jump through the hoops. And then we go, oh my God, I thought school was going to prepare me for my future. But our future, the world we live in today, is so complex that, and school is not doing the job of preparing us for the future. So we go, oh my God, I've got to pay my bills. I'll just get a job. You into a career, a job, and you align yourself with their vision, not with your own vision. And so
Mhm.
that's the beginning of imposter syndrome. And then you're told by your colleagues or by your manager, well, you have to do this and this and this, and this is how you're supposed to be. So you lose your authentic identity more and more and more. And you come to the point, Birgitte, as you said, that the fear of, it's almost like the fear of dying because you're not yourself anymore. The fear of dying is stronger than the fear of the unknown. There's something.
Exactly, exactly. And what you say, the fear of dying, but actually when you are taking on that challenge of stepping into the nothingness, there is a sense of dying though, because you are shedding an identity and transforming into something new. So you
Yes,
have to let go of your old self to a certain extent to embrace the new and understanding. And what many people don't do is really this self-reflection. It's about understanding who we truly are, going on a self-discovery mission and excavating what is actually us that makes us great, that makes us strong, that helps us live in our genius. And you mentioned imposter syndrome. And I'm also coming from there. I know exactly what that means. You always feel like you're not good enough, you're playing small, and then you are in this so called box of inauthenticity.
yeah,
You are hiding in there because of fear, self doubt, as we mentioned, right? The desire to stay in something that gives us comfort. But what we are doing by that, we are taking away from ourselves. And sometimes it's not only us doing that, putting ourselves into that box, being confined by the boundaries that we set up for ourselves, but it's also the external pressure. It's living a life or pursuing a career to meet others' expectations.
yes.
So and what is the result of doing that? We end up connecting with the wrong people, those who drain us rather than lift us up. We may find ourselves in careers or in roles that definitely do not align with our passions, with our purpose, where we are really, really great when we are living it. So, yeah, and that is basically the case. And the root is really the root cause of all of that is the lack of self-reflection, of introspection, because people don't ask themselves, what do I really want? And
Yes,
instead, we are in this rat race, yeah, competing with others because we are so auto focused, yeah,
yeah,
chasing all these external achievements but at the same time then neglecting ourselves
yeah,
in our wants, desires, and needs.
exactly. People don't ask themselves the crucial question, who am I? And that's what we need
Mhm,
to learn in school. Find out who you
mhm,
are first and decide on your identity. Don't let anybody else decide for you. You decide on
mhm,
who you are. It's extremely important. Because if you don't, what happens is you go into an experience, almost like a syndrome of chronic self doubt. I mean, how can you be
mhm.
sure of yourself if you don't know who you are in the first place? And as you mentioned before, Brigitte, emotional exhaustion.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up this role that you've presented to everybody, it takes so much energy because it's not real. It's not real.
Mhm.
And how do
Yeah.
you create friends? How do you create colleagues? How do you build relationships from a false identity? You cannot. Not a real. not real friendships, not real partnerships. And they are crucial in business today. So also you limit your growth because if you don't know who you are in the first place, how can you grow?
Yeah, exactly. And because then when we are staying in that box, we are in this fixed mindset. It's, as you say, unable to grow, unable to innovate, and
Yeah,
unable to explore our potential. It's all there. So we are actually doing a disservice not only to ourselves, but also to others. We are not contributing to the world because we don't know what our unique talents are. Yeah, so we
yeah,
are sacrificing our potential for greatness and settle for mediocrity. And there is also a study, research coming from Carol Dweck on growth versus fixed mindset. And she highlights that those who embrace a growth mindset are more likely to achieve their potential, find fulfillment, but also adapt to challenges effectively. Because the world is changing pretty fast. Yeah? And there are challenges out there. And with a growth mindset, we can adapt and um, and also be happy by
yeah,
doing so because we are
absolutely.
positive. Yeah, exactly. And there's also studies by the Journal of Happiness Studies. They found that living in alignment with our personal values, because excavating and understanding who we truly are starts with having a vision and also our underlying values that we base our decisions on. And this alignment significantly increases life satisfaction, creativity, but also our overall well-being. Yeah. So it means that we need to step out of our comfort zone. We need to
Yes,
be open and fearlessly going into the unknown. Yeah, and that means shift in our mindset.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So there are so many advantages to taking the risk. Number
Mhm.
one, your confidence increases because you're real. You could be yourself. And that's what everybody wants from you because um, there's a saying, be yourself because everybody else is taken. So we are like snowflakes, individuals. We are unique, and the world needs our uniqueness. Also, we become very resilient. Why? Because we know who we are. We are purpose driven, we are vision driven, we are more creative, and also we generate trust. Why? Because we're real and we can be vulnerable and we can be visible. Why? Because there's nothing to hide anymore. So when you generate trust, then you can generate leads and you could generate sales as well. And without sales, you don't have a business anyway. So if people don't trust you, they are not going to buy from you. Once they trust you, they will buy from you because you're real, you're unique. So purpose driven, vision driven, and fulfilled.
Yeah,
Huge advantage.
exactly. And yeah, and there is a lot of studies out there when it comes to that. And one of them from Harvard Business Review, they also in specifically when it comes to leaders who display authenticity, they build stronger and more engaged teams because they are able to foster trust and the connections. Yeah, someone who is authentic also is to a certain extent shows vulnerability that fosters that connection because there is the trust. I can openly speak. So that is the cornerstone of authentic leadership. That's true leadership. And I want to stretch that because it was about when you are a leader. I mean, then you might ask the question, yeah, if I'm authentic, then I'm not aligning with, I'm not conforming with the organizational values or whatever that is. But true leadership is not about molding in, blending in conforming to every expectation. It's really about knowing, embracing your unique identities and to stretch those in alignment with the organizational values to show who you truly are and being authentic within the boundaries. You can stretch them. There is a beautiful kind of balance in between. Because if you are too much fitting in and trying to conform too much, you dilute your sense of self and you limit your potential for innovation and authentic leadership. And if you're overemphasizing on standing out, that may not be liked very much. Yeah, you may alienate your peers, your superiors. That might not come across really in a nice way. But if you ask yourself, what is my unique value? What is my uniqueness, my excellence? I call it the excellence. And how can I express it while respecting the norms of my environment? I think that is a very good, let's say, way of approaching the whole topic of being true within a larger context of an organization.
Absolutely. And of course,
Yeah.
Brigitte, as we know, leaders are trailblazers. So leaders cannot follow other people. They can, to a certain extent, they can follow other leaders, but they need to be completely unique in their own identity, in their own story, in their own vision. So for viewers might be wanting to think, well, I mean, how can I find my identity? So I would like to give them three tips here. Number one, find your core values. Find three
Mhm.
core values. My core values are truth, greatness, and vision. And greatness is not arrogant. Everybody has a greatness. Everybody has a brilliance,
Mhm.
as Brigitte was saying. Everybody has a gift. So find your three
Mhm.
core values, find out who you are at your core. Now, that is a little tricky, but if you go back to a moment in your life when you were extraordinary, and maybe you were extraordinary at 7 years old, maybe you sold all your toys so that you could buy a bike. I mean, that is pretty extraordinary for a 7 year old.
Mhm.
So go back to a point where in time where you were exceptional, you were extraordinary, and create an I am statement around that. And also, what ask yourself, what would I like to contribute to the world? What would I like to change and what would I like to contribute? Because that leads you to your driving purpose and your vision.
Yeah, I'm totally with you.
Absolutely.
I would love to add a little bit to that
Yes.
because to find all of that, I think when you want to unleash your greatness, and the first steps to do so is really with start being self-aware. Yeah, and I want to chime in here what you have said and kind of highlight that again and say, okay, reflect on what lights you up. Where is your passion? Yeah, what challenges you? And then surely understanding your values, you won't compromise, which are non-negotiable. So ask what I love doing so much that feels effortless to you, but others find challenging. Yeah. And then, in order to do so, reconnecting with your inner compass because we're so out of focus. Set aside the time for stillness through meditation, journaling, or just unplugging, yeah, from any distractions that are out there. And pay attention to what your intuition tells you about your strengths and your passions. Kind of really this self reflection. And then, as you say, the vision is so important. Yeah. And the vision means for me is defining the greatness, uh, what the greatness looks like for you. Yeah. It doesn't have to be this grand or public, whatever it is. Yeah. But what is it for you? Maybe as in being an exceptional parent or an innovative entrepreneur or a compassionate leader. You define that, what the vision is, what you want to have achieved, what the legacy is you want to leave behind, what is the overall, thing you're striving for. And also, understanding that that you need to take these consistent steps, because greatness is not achieved overnight, and greatness takes time to excavate, to understand. It's not just given to you like that. It is in you already, but it really takes time, and it demands consistent action. And also, then at the end of the day, celebrating all these small little wins along the way, and being prepared that there are setbacks. So, viewing them also as opportunities to grow and learn going forward. I think that's where the greatest pieces of learnings, and I think that's this, in there are these golden nuggets that make you shine. I think once you have understood that, because I went through a lot of struggle and I saw that, understanding that, reflecting on that, and uh, also in gratitude, what can I take away from that, brought me the greatest leaps going forward. So that's what I wanted to contribute here to what you have already mentioned. Katarina, would you like to share how viewers, how listeners, how our audience can get in touch with you?
Yes, absolutely. The best way is on LinkedIn. I'm Katarina Hanssens Carlsson, and my formal name is Catherine, Katherine, Carlsson with C and 2 S's. So, Catherine Carlsson on LinkedIn. Contact me there.
Okay. Wonderful. And viewers can find me also on LinkedIn under Brigitte Bajkowski, and we will put everything in the show notes and everything in the chat. All right.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.